up from my nap last night and meditated more. I had an experience. So I'm gonna tell y'all a little bit about what I normally don't talk about openly in my path, because these are all things I had to keep to myself so I could find my way out of the muck and the mire. Things that we hold near and dear to who and what we are on the inside. So I'm going to talk a little bit about philosophy, the AIN SOPHIA. SOPHIA is the divine wisdom, the highest point in the Kabbalistic tree is called Kethra, which means the same as AIN SOF to the Greek traditions, and Sophia in the philosophies. So I'm gonna do a couple more invites, and we're gonna talk a little bit about that. Because I don't know Facebook on that stuff. But anyway, so when we go through these positions, we look at the serpent on the path of human rise. We look at the catalytic tree and struggle through the years. We look at the middle pillar in between the get from the Lord, we end up with the middle pillar in between faith and we end up with AIN. And we have these things tied to ideas that we call philosophies. Philosophy itself is supposed to be the love of Sophia, or the fidelity, being faithful to Sophia, Sophia being the wisdom. And so, when you're really looking at it for what it is, they tell you as above, so below, as within, so without. So we find ourselves unraveling this mystery that we live in this three dimension. At some point, I came to realize that all of this is trickery and deception that we willingly accept on the physical level and on the mental level. When you get to the spiritual level, people so caught up in the physical world as truth of reality that they neglect that the spirit realm is real too. And from that standpoint, you can never assimilate a superior wisdom or a superior spiritual insight into anything, because you're closing your mind off. To close the mind off to everything except one thing is foolish, because you can't think your way out of a box that way. You remain stuck in prison because of this. So when I was little, I used to have this periodic dream, and it was tied to my lower bearing samadhi. It was tied to a ritual done in Detroit back over 100 years ago by some very prominent men to make sure that we had all of our bets hedged in. So I would have this dream of this little Caucasian girl, she looked like a kid, but you can tell she was older. In the dream, she was small like a kid, but you could tell she was like an older woman, and that she had a lot of suffering she had taken. And throughout my life, either she's chasing me around the house or I'm chasing her around the house. It was a back and forth thing in this dream. And I used to always wonder to myself what it meant. And it came to me last night, what it was. So we had these ideas, and these ideas are like computer programs on your computer. And they are there to activate a different program at the correct time. And it's all mental. If you are doing your spiritual pursuits and your mental processes are going to be taking place, because you have to rationalize left brain what you internalize spiritually, right brain. So you have to bring those two things together. So everything that you think that you're chasing externally, you're actually chasing it internally. So what we see that we chase outside ourselves is what we chasing on the inside. So this woman is definitely chasing a man. She got to have a man. Her masculine, her sense of self and power and her divine masculine aspect is low. So that which she's seeking within, she's chasing externally. She's trying to find a man to balance the feminine because it's too out of balance. So here we are searching for balance. The balance needs to take place internally first before the balance can take place externally. But we never pursuing the development of the self to the level to figure it out. You know, it's like in the Matrix, very few people realize Neo is an anagram for one, AIN, and Morpheus means he who transforms, and also is tied to Orpheus or Morph, and it's tied to the god of sleep. Anyway, so the dreams, Morpheus and Neo are actually alter egos, and they taking these two different roles. But most people don't realize this during the course of the movie. Everything that Morpheus has done in the physical, now his alter is doing in the spiritual. Before he can raise his physical self up to his spiritual qualities, he had to first develop internally. So if you see, first it started off Neo as a computer hacker. Then he realized that not only is he a computer hacker, shit, he the owner of the computer in essence. He can run through the computer whole reality, the reality computer, the Matrix. That's the baddest computer hack he could ever do. And so you realize that at this point, Morpheus is outside the Matrix. What we don't realize is that the underground city is the underworld. In the religious traditions, they talk about the underworld in the Sheol, in the place where the souls are kept. Because if you pay attention, they leave from there and they come back to the surface and the machines are running the world. But all of the real people are trapped in a underworld. But this is all going on within the self. When I went in meditation one time and I walked what I perceived as the underworld, and I seen all these various different creatures of different shapes and forms, I didn't tell nobody about that because people don't understand that type of stuff, but I knew exactly what was taking place. And I'm looking around because I gotta review the grievances of mankind before I could even come up with a viable solution. So you listen to all of the grievances are the same. That, you know, we tired of suffering, we tired of the oppression, you know, we tired of the death, all of those basic same grievances everywhere you go. And in order to understand the problem, you have to have seen it and lived through it and survived it in order to be able to analyze it from an experience point of view, as opposed to a book learnt point of view where you borrowing somebody else's insight in order to enhance your own. When you live through a thing, it gives you a deeper understanding of the problem, because you have been either part of the problem or part of the solution. Where we at right now, and we looking around at all of the signs, and we looking at the times, it's different. We seeing things in front of our face and we ignoring them. The human being is ignoring every sign that they get from the realm of spirit to tell them to wake up. We are collectively ignoring it. The ones who are aware and they see the signs, and they know what time it is, and they know who's who and what's what, and the ridicule rolls out of a misunderstanding or a misplaced sense of affection, or not really understanding the moves being made, whatever the case might be. I didn't never intend on a conscious level as a child to be able to be on this level of understanding the problem. So in order to offer the solutions, the people have to want the solution. They don't really want the solution, because what I'm seeing is, instead of the solution that they ask for, what they asking for actually is to more of the same. Don't nobody want, if they want something to cry about, complain about, bitch about, moan about. You know, now we're looking at it from the lens of higher wisdom, and you're looking at how can I help Earth and humanity as a whole escape from this bondage and oppression. You look at the enlightened and the unenlightened alike. You don't overlook none. And everybody that's complaining about the suffering and the oppression is holding the suffering and oppression afflicting agent upon themselves and refuse to release it. And so you got an oppressor that's trying to leave, and you got an oppressed that's trying to hold him down. Don't leave me, oppressor. I like this pain and suffering. If you take it away, I don't have nothing to complain about. I might be able to be happy for a change. Don't take away my afflictions. Well, I understand, because I never asked for anybody to move my mountain. I just wanted to be strong enough to climb it and navigate the obstacles along the way. I needed the wisdom. And my mama always told me as a little boy that if I seek wisdom, you know, that I could probably wind up being as wise as Solomon. Or she said, if I'm really lucky, I can probably even be wiser than Solomon and not make the same mistakes he made, whatever they were. But I think the biggest problem right now, when you get to a certain level of training in various aspects, and you're looking at the problem from all angles, the biggest problem now is the oppressed love to be oppressed. And those who are in the know, the wise ones, as they call them, are being, it has to be a form of arrogance. It's the only thing I can ascribe to it, where they want you to move according to how they want you to move, and don't really know what you're doing, because nobody ain't supposed to know. Handling the truth. We as a saying, fools rush in where wise men dare to tread. The truth is one of those arenas, and now you find out what is one of the major causes of deception among those in the know. Because the truth, somebody can tell you the truth and hurt you worse than if they hit you in the head with an axe. You hit somebody in the ego with the truth, and that's going to hurt them, because they have to face the fact that this true. And that, in my case, people don't really doubt that it's true. They just hate they had to get it from me. Out of all of the people on this planet, 8.3 billion, I had to tell this motherfucker what his problem was and what the solution was, and now I'm resented for it, because out of all of the motherfuckers on this planet, I had to get the answer from you. So, I mean, I would be glad to get the answer, the right answer, from wherever the right answer at. I don't care what the vessel look like. I accept the right answer from a 2-year-old as well as I do a 102-year-old. It wouldn't matter to me. If it's the right answer, it's the right answer. If it's going to solve the problem, it's going to solve the problem. So now we're looking at wisdom, right? AIN SOF. We're looking at the raising of the energy, the love energy, and the intellectual wisdom, the higher realm of wisdom. We need to marry these two at the crown. And at this point, you have to match everything internally to what's going on externally, and got to remember all of the external stuff is to remind you what you're chasing within. And so the little girl from my dreams, that was the old lady, we played a chase game my whole life. Either she was chasing me or I was chasing her. And this morning in meditation, she stopped and she turned around and stopped running from me and looked me dead in my face, and she said, "It's time. We ain't running no more." Then a couple days ago, I seen a duality becoming a singularity. And then I realized that I don't like to talk about love because people use the word as an agent of veiled abuse. You talk about love, you talk about slick usage of words in order to pursue your selfish agenda of conquering somebody else's weakness for the desire to be cared about. So I ain't really into really talking about love, so to speak, in that regard. But the energy that is originally represented before the beauty of poetry was stolen and used by the cunning and the slick to abuse the words, so that the words can be used to abuse the people, especially the women. And so I don't talk too much about the love response. I don't use the word a lot. But the idea and the concept and the understanding of it, for me, is entirely different as you're trying to weed through things and see through the veil. You know, I done walked to the edge of creation, internally and externally. I've seen it all. But these people, the level of apathy for anything that benefits them, nobody want to do the work. They want it all handed to them. They all feel entitled. They all feel like they owed something, but they haven't done anything to have earned nothing. But they want to sit in the honor seat. And then they don't like the ones who earned it being in those positions because they earned it. They making them look bad because they do their work. They do their due diligence. They endure their suffering and pain. The entitlement mentality comes from where? How can you never have nothing and feel entitled? How can you never been nothing and feel entitled? Where did that come from? And so we were told that it was enmity between her seed and his seed. Well, who is her? AIN SOF, the divine wisdom. Well, who was he? He was the Adam the Cadmon. He was the physical body. And so you needed the solo man, or the soul of a man, in order to marry the two. It's a cycle. You got to first build the physical man into a worthy vessel. That's the construction of Solomon's temple. Once you done did the work to build the physical temple into the worthy vessel, now you have to acquire the wisdom of the age. You have to chase AIN SOF. You have to catch SOPHIA. But SOPHIA don't give up so easy because she's driven by this passionate fire we call love. I don't like to use the word. I would have rather just settled for the passionate fire. It's the fire of the heart that, as the body begins to become an upright man, and that wisdom go through that fire in the heart, now they call this the flaming serpent. We are watching the ascent of the phoenix rising from its own ashes. And so we have to go through that fire, that passion, that what they call in smokeless, gasless fire. Remember, man was made up of 4: earth, air, fire, and water. That's what set man apart. So you have the stonemasons who had to teach us how to build temples. What is a stone made of? What's concrete mix? Water and earth. 2 of the 4 elements. The earth is in various forms in order to get the solidifying effect. So that tell you right there that the 2, the earth and the water, gonna make something hard. A fixed state of water is called ice. The zodiacal sign of the Scorpio is in a fixed state of water. It's frozen. So from here, water being in a fixed state, frozen. How do you unfreeze all water? You need heat. But it got to be a fixed and steady temperature, steady heat. It has to be a fixed position of fire as it goes through that heart center, or else it won't melt that core. And when the fire in the water, we know that's going to make steam. Water just became a gas. Matter just became spirit. We ain't paying attention. We watching it out there play out. But we don't want to live it internally, because then we have to face our demons. We have to face our lower base desires for illicit things. Yeah. We need things to complain about, so that give us the excuse not to do what we know we ought to do in order to get up on our feet. We look for shit to complain about. And then the person that's pointing it out to you has to be insane. He got to be crazy, because he won't accept the oppressor's foot on his neck in telling us that we shouldn't accept it either. So he's got to be insane. You goddamn right he insane. What is insanity? It's a mental illness. It means to think outside of the collective. Anybody who don't think within the collective is insane according to them. Now what do they have to do? Pay attention to your doctors. What do they do when they